Happy Friday. Welcome into Payoff Pitch. We are Action Network's MLB betting podcast. Brendan Glasheen, joined by BJ Cunningham and Anthony DeBundo on this Friday. We are presented by BetMGM, so all lines and totals and money lines, whatever we bring up on the show. Odds are presented by BetMGM. We're here Monday, Tuesday, and Friday during the season. We were off Tuesday because of the holiday. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. I got a few thoughts here. I'm going to give you three. Number one is housekeeping. Then we'll go to the bets. All-Star Game is next week, and we'll have you covered with a special Best Bets episode for the game and the Home Run Derby from the Payoff Pitch crew. However, it'll be over on the Action Network podcast, not Payoff Pitch. So if you already subscribe to the Action Network podcast, great, not a problem. If you don't, please do. That's where we'll be next week. Broader audience, all-star break, yada, yada. I don't want to take you too far behind the curtain. So instead of looking for Payoff Pitch on Monday, July 10th, we'll be over on the Action Network podcast feed. We will not have anything on the Payoff Pitch feed Monday. So please, again, go subscribe for all-star coverage and best bets. And also just other content available in the award-winning Action Network app for all-star game coverage. So, and then we'll be back to regularly scheduled Payoff Pitch at the end of next week. That's number one. I'm already starting to forget what my other thoughts were. Number two, we'll just leave it at two, BJ and Anthony, as I ramble here to open the program. Number two, what a busy week in baseball that could just get buried sort of in a holiday week. Corbin Carroll got hurt this week, NL Rookie of the Year frontrunner. I'm not going in any particular order. The Angels, holy cow, what a mess. Mike Trout, 6 to 8 weeks. Ohtani and Rendon both leave the game. That's not great if the Angels thought about dealing Ohtani at the deadline. Because when Trout got hurt, I thought, well, there goes that. But now if Ohtani's hurt, can you really deal him? Aaron Judge, career-threatening injury. That's not great. And then to bring it to today, the slate, Alek Manoah is back on the mound after a couple of triple or minor league stints. We'll see if he got his crap together. And then there's Carlos Rodon, who makes his Yankees debut tonight. After signing a lucrative contract, he makes 3 appearances in the minor leagues. My third thought was going to be Angels related. It just brought me back a year ago now when the live Angels win total under was coming to fruition. My lone pick on the program last year. And it was right around this time when Mike Trout got hurt. It's kind of weird and kind of eerie. So enough from me. Let's hear from our analysts. Hi, BJ. Hi, Anthony. Best bets. We'll go to DeBundo first.
Well, first, before we get into best bets, let's
please. I know I threw a lot at you there, so
just drop bombs on us, and now we need to respond.
I don't get a lot of airtime on the show, so I wanted to come in hot,
And indeed, Ohtani, the Angels are not concerned. It's a blister. He probably won't pitch in the All-Star game. He'll probably be fine after. It's not a serious injury. But it was concerning to see the velocity down that much. But, if he's dealing with a blister, that hurts. And that makes you, throw less hard. So not too worried about Ohtani. Rendon, losing him from the lineup still was getting on base. He wasn't hitting for much power and wasn't adding a ton of value. But, yeah, the loss of Trout certainly hurts. They have outfield depth. Adele, Moniak, Ward, Renfroe. But, Mike Trout's 30% better than league average with the bat this year, and he's one of the best hitters in the league. So I don't think they can withstand that injury. I don't think they're going to trade Ohtani, but it certainly opens the possibility. The problem with trading Ohtani at this point, who is trading for Shohei Ohtani as a rental? If you start going through the teams, there's not really a team. Like the Yankees could, but the Judge situation kind of makes that hard. The Dodgers, their pitching injuries, do they want to go all in if they think they can sign him in the fall for free? I don't think so. The Mets are out of it in some ways. So
who should go get him? I'll give you a team. Mm-hmm. And BJ, block your ears. Tampa Bay should go get him. Why not? Go for it, right? Like go give up a couple of prospects. You churn out prospects. They pop out prospects so consistently. Why not go all in and just say, all right, let's bring in Ohtani and go win the title. That's just my thought.
That's a decent point. I don't think they do it. But given his salary too, they'd have to eat. Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting. I would love to see it personally. I would be rooting for it. Texas could also do something of that nature. They don't really have the farm necessarily,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, but you're talking a lot of smaller markets, and there's not like the big boys are not making the big moves, I don't think, this deadline. So it's hard to see Ohtani getting traded, even though I think it's a possibility now. The Corbin Carroll stuff really sucks because it's the same shoulder that he injured a couple years ago and needed to get labrum surgery on. Uh, he tweaked it a couple weeks ago, came back, and then seemed to have injured it worse last night. We have not heard any reports yet. There are no markets up for National League Rookie of the Year.
Right.
Obviously, Elly De La Cruz becomes the favorite, but there are some other names that get thrown into the mix, including one pitcher who's starting today in Andrew Abbott. So it will be fascinating. As for my best bet, let's get to the action Friday. I like the Minnesota Twins, minus 155 at BetMGM against the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore had a bit of a laugher against Severino, got to take some batting practice on Thursday night. We'll face a much more difficult and deceptive pitcher tonight in Bailey Ober, going up against Cole Irvin. Now, the projection systems have Irvin for an ERA over 5, and I agree with them. The bat, for example, puts Irvin just over a 5.1 ERA. I think that's about in line with what I'd expect from Irvin. If you look at his underlying metrics, he doesn't really miss enough bats. He has command issues at times, and he gives up a ton of barrels, which is something that the Twins offense has been very successful with all season. Even though they do strike out a lot, they do get the barrel to the ball and hit for a lot of power. They also get a little bit of an advantage. They get the rest day, and they get the the travel advantage being at home, with Baltimore having come from New York overnight, which does matter at the margins a little bit. And then, this Bailey Ober situation, Ober this season, and we pretty much have a decent sample on him now over the course of about 200 major league innings, which is over a season's worth of a sample, striking out almost a batter per inning, excellent command numbers, a very deceptive fastball that plays better than its stuff plus that the models struggle to pick up on because he's so deceptive with it. Yep. And he's done a really nice job so far in his career. 3.44 ERA, 3.76 FIP. Now the projection systems don't love him as much. They have him closer to like 4.4, 4.3 ERA. I actually think he's better than that. I think he's more than a run better and closer to about a 4 ERA than Irvin. So given the home field and the bullpen rest advantage and the pitching advantage, I like the Twins, and I'm willing to lay a little bit of juice on it tonight.
Excellent. Now they have a 1.5 lead in the division. Like the last couple of Payoff Pitch episodes, we've been heavy Twins at the top of the show. BJ, if you have any thoughts on what I rambled about, you are welcome to weigh in.
I agree with Anthony. I don't see a team going and giving up basically their farm system for Shohei Ohtani, because that's what it's going to take, right? Like, it's going to take a massive, massive haul to get him. And then if you're trading for him, you have to have the inkling that you're going to be able to sign him in the offseason. So for a lot of the teams, like Anthony mentioned, like the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, why wouldn't you just wait 6 months and then just get him for free rather than giving up your entire farm system? The Corbin Carroll thing sucks. I mean, it's probably Elly De La Cruz is probably going to be a pretty heavy favorite, would be my guess going forward. But my best bet is going to be the Rangers and Nationals over 5.5 runs for the first 5 innings. Cody Bradford is going to be on the mound for Texas tonight. It's his 5th major league start. And when he's been a starter, things haven't gone very well. He's pitched 3 innings of relief and he's given up no runs, but he's pitched 18 1/3 innings as a starter and he's given up 12 runs. His expected ERA as a starter is above 5 now. And if you look at the composite of all the projection models on Fangraphs, he's a 4.5 ERA pitcher. So essentially a below average starting pitcher. He's a soft tossing lefty who basically only utilizes a fastball and a changeup. That's good news for the Nationals, because although they're, one of the worst teams in baseball, they're 10th in baseball in weighted on base average against lefties. They actually do hit lefties pretty well. They have a plus 12.6 run value against left-handed fastballs and changeups. So a pretty decent matchup here for the Nationals. Trevor Williams will be on the mound for Washington. He's been really bad. xERA well above 5. His stuff plus is just 82. All 4 of his main pitches have an X weighted on base average allowed over 350, bottom 15th percentile in expected batting average, expected slugging, and barrel rate allowed. The Rangers are obviously one of the best lineups in baseball, absolutely crushed right-handed pitching, 340 weighted on base average. So I think there's going to be a lot of runs early on here. I have 6.4 runs projected here for the first 5 innings. So over 5.5 runs and minus 105.
Excellent. I mentioned off the top the pitchers that are returning in different ways. Rodon back from missing all of last year, or has not pitched yet this year is what I meant to say. He's making his debut tonight for the Yankees, and we'll get to Manoah in a little bit. The Yankees are a themed team for Fade the Public because the people love the Yankees, despite the fact Rodon made just 3 rehab starts. And that's all we have. 3 minor league rehab starts, 71% of the bets, 96% of the money. The handle coming in on the Yankees over the Cubs. They have Jameson Taillon on the mound going up against Rodon. Yankees at BetMGM are minus 175 on the money line. Cubs plus 145. And the total is set at 8 at BetMGM. Debundo, is there an angle you like? Do you like the Cubs with Rodon making his debut? How would you like to attack this game?
Yes, took some over 8, minus 115 at BetMGM. Would not play 8.5, but do like the 8 there. I think it's a little bit low. Favorable hitting weather tonight in the Bronx, which is always nice. And I'm a little concerned. I mean, Taillon has not been able to get lefties out all season, and it's been a problem for his line. His strikeouts have kind of disappeared. He did have a good outing in terms of strikeouts against the Guardians on Sunday, but a lot of those were looking strikes against a very patient Guardians lineup that wasn't swinging. He has not been able to get lefties out, like I said, all year, and the splits are the worst of his career. And he has been tweaking with the pitch mix to try to do a better job of it, but I'm just not sure it's really going to be particularly effective. This season against left-handed pitching, 1.049 OPS allowed against righties, 679. And so given that short porch in right field, given that the Yankees are right-handed more so than left-handed, they can stack a few lefties into that lineup and really cause problems, especially from a power perspective. The cutter just hasn't been getting in enough and hasn't been good enough from Taillon, even though he's tried to up the usage. So I have my concerns about him. And Rodon did look impressive in the minor leagues. 17 strikeouts, 10 innings, sub-1 ERA. But just on a pitch count. So you could see some fatigue, and that's generally what you expect to see. He may look sharp for 3 or 4 innings, but the fatigue is going to be a real issue, I think, once you get to the 5th or the 6th. I'm thinking about 80 pitches today for Carlos. Also, Cubs do get put in their better offensive split. They are a top 10 offense against lefties compared to a bottom 12 offense against righties. And like I was saying with Taillon, the cutter usage last season was right around 11%. This year, he's up to 21. It just hasn't been that good. And he's used it a lot against lefties, but 600 slugging against with that cutter this year. So certainly have some concerns about Jameson. Do not think he has solved his issues yet. We'll be watching him closely to see kind of how things change, but he is not headed in the right direction at the moment.
Just 3 walks for Rodon in those appearances that Debundo's referencing, no home runs. They have the clock in the minors too. I'm curious how he adjusts to the pitch clock. Granted, it's different because it's major league talent, major league hitters at the plate, right? Okay, very good. So you're on the over. And the Yankees only scored 1 run last night. They got smoked by Baltimore. And we've been highlighting their issues offensively without Aaron Judge, career threatening with the big toe, who, if you missed it, that's what I mean. As I said, this all kind of got buried around a holiday. So some folks might come back to baseball this weekend and go, wait, what happened? No, Ohtani left a game. Trout's out 6 to 8 weeks. Judge is talking about career threatening injuries. Debundo. BJ, your thoughts on this game? The people like the Yankees, despite the fact it's Rodon's debut.
Yeah, and
what are you smirking about?
Me? I'm just, I'm smirking because you're very emphatic this morning, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, you got to bring, it's a finish strong kind of Friday.
BJ, did you see Kyle Bradish last night? Pretty good.
I mean, Anthony, it's really nice when you get to pitch against one of the worst lineups in baseball. Him and Dean Kramer. Gosh, that's a conversation for another day. No, I'm passing on this one. I have the Yankees projected at minus 178. So, the best price you can find in the Yankees out there is minus 166. Like Anthony said, Rodon will be on a pitch count. We were talking before the show, and Anthony was like, "Yeah, Taillon sucks," and I was like, I hadn't looked at his numbers in a while, and I was like, "Does he suck?" Because I knew earlier in the season he was, due for a little bit of positive regression, but it's gotten worse and worse and worse, and all the things that Anthony laid out are very true. So for me, I am passing on this game. I still don't trust the Yankees lineup, even if it is against a horrible pitcher like Tejon. So I'm going to have to pass.
All right, very good. That makes more sense, by the way, because I caught the back end of their conversation off air, and I thought Bundo was talking about Rodon. I'm like, well, that's a pretty bold take, but he meant the other guy. That makes a lot more sense.
No, he is pretty good. I mean, he runs into an occasional home run problem. I am interested to see what Rodon looks like in a much more friendly park for offense. Getting to pitch in San Francisco, as good as he is with the strikeouts, that really helps to suppress homers. You are not going to get that kind of relief in Yankee Stadium. And that would be the one concern that I have with him is, can he do enough to limit the homers? Like last season, 0.61 homers per nine, dead and ball. Remember that was, dead and ball and playing half your games in San Francisco. The projection systems have him for 1.1 homers per nine, and obviously still a very good pitcher. But, could he run into more of a problem than maybe we think if he's pitching in Yankee Stadium every other start?
Let's touch on underdogs for this 15-game slate. DeBundo, good pitching matchup. Your Phillies send Zach Wheeler to the mound in Miami. Sandy Alcantara is on the mound for Miami. And you do like Sandy, we said this last year. Sandy is a home dog. We'd be like, what? Are we kidding? But as we know, he has not been his exact self, but you do like the fish tonight.
Yes, the baseball betting market can be a bit of a pendulum sometimes, and you were buying Sandy at the absolute peak at the beginning of the season after the Cy Young. Yep. Really, it was probably August of last year when the market finally caught up to Sandy, and we had this show every 5 days, and we would come on and say Sandy this, Sandy that, Sandy that. There got to a point where he became
Sandy
overpriced.
Day, as we called it.
Yeah, every 5 days, Marlins at 5, and the line would move 30 cents toward Miami every time. Well, that has kind of ended now, and it's actually the opposite, where you're actually, I think, getting Sandy at a discount. And this was true. He pitched against the Red Sox a couple weeks ago, and the market took a bunch of Boston money against Whitlock, and I really didn't understand it. And then he pitches against Atlanta, and he had a struggles with homers in that game, but overall, like, the stuff looked as good as it's ever looked against the Braves. And the underlying metrics for Alcantara don't look that much worse than past years. They really don't. This Phillies lineup is very free swinging, and they will chase bad pitches. That's one of their weaknesses. And I think that actually plays into Sandy's hands. I think he's going to be able to generate a lot of ground balls tonight. I know the Phillies tagged him for 9 runs in their last outing, which was back in April, and the Phillies have seen plenty of Sandy over the years. But this profile, like his stuff plus, is like down a couple ticks, but not noticeably. The changeup has been the biggest difference between last year and this year for him, and that's been a problem because he hasn't been nearly as good against lefties. So, maybe some reasons for regression there, but a lot of it is just that, he got the big double plays when he needed them last year. And this year, he really hasn't generated them at the same rate. But if you look, like, expected ERA is 4.2. If you look at his career, 4.07 in 2020, 3.47 in 2021. He has the one dominant year and then kind of goes back to being a 4.22 pitcher. I think the true value of Sandy is right around like a 3.7, 3.8. And I don't have Wheeler that much better. I think Wheeler's marginally better, but not all that much better. Given the bullpen edge for Miami, with their top arms rested, Philly used everybody yesterday, everybody the last 2 days against the Rays on the road. I think that there's some bullpen advantages built in for Miami tonight. And the lineups aren't as different as you think. Philadelphia's lineup, 15th WRC plus. This Miami lineup kind of going forward as a projection, even without Chisholm, is just slightly below league average. So at home, plus 110, I like the Marlins here. I don't think there's enough of an advantage for Philly to be laying minus 130 on the road in this matchup.
You are just a fair analyst picking against your Phillies, and I'm a fan of this.
Actually, the Phillies are now down to 99 WRC plus, which is exactly the same as Miami this season, which I think is interesting. You would think, oh, Philly's so much better lineup.
Yeah,
hasn't been the case.
Yeah, they got to chill out. They're 8-2 in their last 10. I don't like that.
They got a I think they're 2 wins away from tying the record for most consecutive road wins in baseball history.
Is that right? Wow.
Let me figure out what that actual number is, but yes.
Well, tonight you're going against that. We shall call it the sand dollar spot. like that. Sand dollar. Beaches, summer, sandy, Alcantara, right? Okay, that's good. DeBundo picking against the Phillies. I like it. It's about time. BJ, speaking of the other pitcher we talked about at the top, Alek Manoah is back. Manoah, is he fixed? Taking on the Tigers tonight. Tigers are a dog against Manoah.
I don't think so. I mean, yes. I mean, everybody's going to point out the one horrific start in rookie ball. He had a halfway decent start in Double-A. He still walked 3 guys in 5 innings, and that was his big problem, right? He had a walk per 9 rate of 6.5, which is just unheard of for a major league starter who can actually stay in the league, which in turn allowed his ERA and his expected ERA to go well above 6. What I found interesting is when I was digging into his game log is that he faced Detroit earlier this season on April 11th, before any of these problems were seemingly, glaring as they are now. Sure. And the Tigers, who are one of the worst lineups in baseball, tagged him for 3 runs, and he walked 5 batters in 4 1/3 innings. So I don't know. Maybe the Blue Jays are much smarter than what the public thinks, and maybe they've seen him throw a bunch of bullpens and they think, okay, he's figured out whatever his problem is, and maybe he has, but I'm going to bet it against it here. I like the Tigers at plus 130. Alex Fady is going to be on the mound for them. It's his first start since May 30th, coming off the injured list. Huge positive regression candidate, although it's a small sample size. He had a 5.5 ERA, 3.15 expected ERA, one of the lowest walk per 9 rates as well, below 1 actually. But his main problem was he gave up 6 home runs in his 5 starts earlier this season. But in those 26 innings, his pitching plus rating was 104, which is pretty good. So he does have a good effective slider. So given how bad Manoah is, I'm going to try to fade him off this minor league start until he proves me otherwise. So I like the Tigers at plus 120 or BetMGM.
All right, very good. Again, 2 appearances from Manoah at the MILB level, 7 2/3 innings, 13 strikeouts. As that ERA is inflated because of that bad rookie ball start. But I should have went and watched him in New Hampshire. I'm not too far, the Fisher Cats, but I didn't do that. So, story. If he gets called down again, maybe I can. All right, very good. So Marlins Tigers are our underdogs for Friday, July 7th. Yes, DeBundo?
I'm a little shocked by this. Manoah being back already. Because
I thought you were going to say you were shocked that
that's what I'm concerned about as well. Is why is he back after just 2 starts? And even that start in Double-A, it wasn't like he just pitched 5 innings and nobody could hit him and everything like that. He still struggled a little bit. I don't know.
And I don't think there can be meaningful changes that quickly with your stuff. Any kind of the biggest problem for Alek Manoah, besides the command pitch clock issues, which still are going to exist. Even if it's a confidence thing and he's kind of figured that part out of, was that his slider went from elite to just mid. And we'll look at the stuff numbers tonight. We'll see how many whiffs he gets on the slider. He was getting a lot of whiffs last year. That was his only out pitch. And it's why he was top 5 in Cy Young. But that slider better be damn good tonight or else he's going to get hit again. And even if he only throws 4 to 5 innings, I can't get there on the Tigers because I have questions about Alex Faedo coming off injury himself. The numbers in his last outing in AAA were down from what he was in the majors. So I'm kind of just you know what? I'm not going to bet this game. I'll look at the numbers afterwards and see how Manoah looks and watch that slider because that's everything for him. If he has that slider back, we can start to talk about him being a good MLB starter again. If he doesn't, he's probably not.
Marcelo Mayer hit the home run against him, the Portland Sea Dogs. There's a positive Red Sox thought for you, BJ.
There you go.
The Bloom Double-A crew got to him, not that much though. Okay, finally, some final bets before we get out of here on this Friday. I'm reading from our show doc, everybody. It says Anthony, final bets, Anthony, BJ, and Anthony says should bet Milwaukee, but don't want to. Now, what the hell am I supposed to do with that?
If you had told me, first of all, at the beginning of the season that I was going to be able to bet Corbin Burns at home against the Cincinnati Reds at minus 125, they would have had to be Sandy Koufax on the mound for the Reds for me to consider that. Okay, Hunter Green's good, but you get my point. And this guy, Andrew Abbott, who I would have said who at the beginning of the season, because I'd heard the name, but I couldn't tell you one thing about him, has really impressed everybody. And obviously, he still has yet to allow a runner in scoring position to score. He's been pretty much only allowing home runs through his only runs. And he's not as good as, his ERA would suggest, but the numbers are heading in the right direction for him with the whiffs. And now his curveball has always been dominant. It's a 60 grade curveball from Fangraphs on the 20 to 80 scale, which is very, very good. The fastball, he somehow is getting away with it. It's not a great fastball, and he kind of throws it down the middle and befuddles hitters. But if you look at his strikeout rates right now, 10.1 strikeouts per 9 for a rookie is elite. And he just dominated a pretty good San Diego lineup, at least one that's hard to strike out in his last outing. And that comes after dominating the Rockies. Prior to that, he had 8 strikeouts against the Orioles. Like, the strikeouts being as good as they are, and the breaking balls improving. It's been tighter and more controlled breaking balls from him. Like, he's getting more movement. They're getting deeper. The Stuff Plus likes it. This guy could be one of those guys who the models are going to take some time to catch up to. The bat has still got him for a 4.80 ERA. I would love to bet the under on that. But again, the sample is still really small. So you're betting him essentially as a pick'em against Corbin Burns. I feel like we have to bet Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. Corbin has been back to kind of Corbin-y levels. He had one bad start against Arizona, but other than that, like, his stuff has looked better. He's got more whiffs. Milwaukee's lineup, I'm just so down on them, but it's hard not to bet the Brewers here. I will be thinking about this the entire day and hoping to get to the number. But yeah, Burns, 7 strikeouts against the Reds, 9 against Baltimore, 8 against Minnesota, 7 against Pittsburgh. He had the one bad start where he got jumped in Arizona in that first inning. He's been much better with the strikeouts. So I think, if you bet Milwaukee, you probably win more than you lose in this situation.
So you're going to do it?
He's going to think about it.
Stay tuned to the Action Network app. It's only 10:30. We're recording this. I have to decide by the afternoon. So
that boy DeBundo, way to plug the app. That's
this is an epic waffle. This is an all-time waffle for me.
Yeah, that's a good tease though. People will just be, scrolling and refreshing the app. Good work by you. Milwaukee and Cincinnati at 8:10 this evening. BJ, what else you got before we go?
I have bet Milwaukee. I bet them at -125. Basically outlining everything Anthony said, like Corbin Burns. He's down a little bit on his Stuff Plus from last season. Like, he's still 4th in Major League Baseball. So let's not act like he's just like completely lost like Manoah is. And his cutter last season was 137. It's obviously that's his main pitch. And this season it's 125. So it is down a tad bit. Andrew Abbott. I don't really know what to make of him. Again, like Anthony said, it's a very small sample size. I don't know whether I need to call him incredibly good or if he's just getting away with a lot of things. I'm not really so sure right now, but at this price, I don't think I can walk away from Burns given how good he is. So I like Milwaukee at -120. I also like the Rays at -115. Like, probably one of the best series of the entire weekend.
Yeah.
2 best teams in baseball, the Rays and Braves going against each other. Charlie Morton's a big time negative regression candidate. He's got around a 3.5 ERA. His expected ERA is
revenge game.
A run higher than that. Glasnow's been, like, in his 7 starts, he's been bad. Like, his expected ERA is well above 5, but the Stuff Plus numbers are still there. He's still at 119. Pitching plus is still 109, which is significantly better than Charlie Morton. And these are the 2 best offenses in baseball. So the Braves no longer have this huge offensive advantage over a team like, the Tampa Bay Rays. So I like the Rays at -115. And then it just came out before we started recording, but the Rockies Giants over 8, anything -120 better, or 8 or over 8.5 at even money as well. Austin Gomber is going against Ross Stripling. These are 2 guys who are well over a 6 expected ERA pitchers. The Rockies are the worst lineup against lefties. So it's a good news that they're actually going to be facing a righty tonight. So I think that total is far, far too low for how horrible both of these starting pitchers are. And Colorado's bullpen is also pretty bad. So I like the over in that game.
All right. Excellent. Yeah. And then back to Braves, Rays. Braves have won 9 of 10 and Tampa's lost 5 in a row. So Glasnow on the mound.
Is this the first time all year this week?
What's that?
The Phillies swept them. They were the first team to sweep Tampa this year.
See, they got to work it back to the Phillies.
It does suck. Yandy Diaz is out this weekend, paternity leave, which is a bummer because he is the best on base guy in that lineup. Bats leadoff and is awesome. Losing him sucks. The Braves don't ever lose. So I wish BJ the best of luck.
No, betting against the Braves is so much fun. It's like what was the year the Dodgers won like 110 games? It was like that year. I can't remember what year that was. Was
You're
that
never safe.
2019?
I mean, they hit like 3 home runs in the first. Acuna leads off the first.
Right, Cirillo
inning with
brought
either
this
a
up on
double-
Monday. Yeah.
a double or a single and a stolen base about 80% of the time.
Yep. It'll be
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, in the words of Michael Leboff, it's pain, just enjoy the pain. You guys know, Leboff, soccer pod. Yeah.
It could be a good overgame.
All right. Yeah. Kind of, we started the program with some really, crappy news this week, and DeBundo gives us more crappy news for that series. Apple TV tonight, 6:40, Atlanta and Tampa, Morton, Glasnow. All right, gents. Thank you again for hearing me out there at the top of the show. So much to unpack from earlier in the week. As I mentioned off the top, we are on the Action Network podcast on Monday, giving you best bets for the Home Run Derby, as well as the MLB All-Star Game, All-Star Break Monday, Tuesday. Regularly scheduled programming of Payoff Pitch returns next Friday. So there you go. For BJ Cunningham and Anthony DeBundo, Brendan Glass-Sheen, thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. You all have a great weekend. Enjoy the break. We'll hopefully have some of you tuning in next week on the Action Network podcast, and we will talk to you again at the end of next week when the second half begins.